this volume down. The music should be fine. My speaker volume should be good. Let me fix my screen. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online, and I am creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition 2024 using Eberron and Spelljammer mechanics to build an Eberron Spelljammer Asteroid Belt Bastions Kaiju Mecha Campaign. So this is episode 27. We've been building this campaign from scratch, and we're going to continue working on it today. For people that are interested in tagging along, if you check down here in the description, the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document is here, which if you click on it, pops open DMsGuild. This book has a free preview that we can use to build our mecha with, so go ahead and check that out. The document that we're using to build the campaign itself, the Workbench, that's here, the Eberron Spelljammer. The Eberron Spelljammer Mecha Kaiju XCOM campaign. You can read along in that. It's a read-only document. The Mecha Kaiju mechanics that we're using specifically are here online as well. And it's a read-only, but we'll be using that document to look through stuff. And I'm going to peel this document out on its own. This is where we are building the Space Pirates of Lazar. This is the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that we published on DMsGuild that I just showed you the link to. This is the free preview. Anyone that wants to buy it, it comes with all the assets for Aladdin Zaraxis, as well as like about 120 different ships, creatures, and NPC tokens that you can use on Virtual Tabletop. And then you can, if you are interested, you can join my Discord down below if you're interested in this playtesting stuff or just checking out how these things work in general. Let's see, what are we working on right now? So we're working on the pirates. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do we have? Let's stream down here to the fleet. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 type of mecha, or 5 types of ships that are in the fleet. We have the carrier ship, which is the Calamari. It's a 400-foot octopus. At the 50-foot scale, it's an 8x8 space, which we'll be able to reference in the ship section. Chunk. Boop. Here's the 250-foot squid ship. The Calamari is significantly larger, but we'll be able to use this book for us to build out the. Let's go to combat and then kick on down to weapons. Here we go, ship melee weapons. So a 400-foot craft occupies an 8x8 space at the 50-foot scale. It does D10 times 10 damage. So each of these tentacles require a separate attack roll to hit with, but they can automatically, if we go back to the document here. Grappling tentacles. It's part of the ship. It's just built into the ship. This is part of it. The pilot can control the tentacles, but again, using action economy, you can have multiple co-pilots that can all chip in their own action economy to move the ship and to attack with tentacles and other ship melee weapons that the ship may have equipped with during your own initiative, or you can lend your action economy to somebody else during their turn. The reach, it's determined by the ship size. So a 400-foot ship has a 400-foot reach, which is more than 250 feet. So it can reach into and attack anything in an adjacent 500-foot square. So a 10 by 10 space at the 50-foot scale is a 500-foot space, kind of like a 5-foot space in a dungeon. It expands to 50 feet at the mecha scale and fightercraft scale, and then to 500 feet at the ship and fleet scale. And so we have these different size ranges, and so the 8x8 space is more than half the space filled at the 500-foot scale. So it can, if its reach is more than 250, it can reach beyond its own space. Like if I had a 250-foot ship with an attack, with a melee attack, I could attack anything up to 250 feet away, or basically anything that occupies the 500-foot space that my ship occupies, if I'm at 250 or less. If I'm larger than 250, I can hit into anywhere inside of the next square, the next 500-foot square space. So it's kind of like normal 5e combat. If your ship is smaller than 250 feet, it's treated as though it's tiny. At the 5-foot scale, tiny creatures have to enter the space of their target when they want to make a melee attack against them. Similar with these ships, if they're smaller than 250 feet, they have to enter the next 500-foot space to attack whatever's inside of there. But when you're over 250 feet in size, you're effectively small size at the 5-foot scale. So now you can attack anything in an adjacent 500-foot space. And if you're obviously up to 500 feet in size, you can definitely reach into the next 500-foot space. If you're 1,000 feet in size, then you would have 2 squares of space, just like a large-size ogre would occupy a 2x2 space at the 500-foot scale, hitting anything within 1,000 feet of itself with melee attacks. This is how we can scale up kaiju to ridiculous colossal sizes. It all just scales from 5 to 50 to 500. You could use intermediary steps, like if you're dealing with 20-foot mecha, instead of operating at the 50-foot scale, you could operate at the 20-foot scale. And then 10 feet would basically be small, and anything of 5 feet and smaller are effectively tiny sized. So if your 5-foot character on foot at the 5-foot scale is attempting to attack a giant, you can upscale to the 20-foot scale, and then your character, being tiny sized, now has to enter the 20-foot space that the giant occupies, and it gets an opportunity attack on you for the effort for doing so. So by scaling you can use the 5e mechanics in a different way. You can use the 5e mechanics the exact same way as you do at the 5-foot scale, but it's increasing the size and scale to change the scope of your adventures, either up or down to like Mouse Ritter, Mouse Guard, Bloomburrow. These tiny sized creatures that are smaller than a foot. A 5-foot square becomes a half-foot square, which is 6 inches. And then the next scale down from that is an inch. So it goes from 5 feet to a half foot to 1 inch, and then it would go down to 1/10 of an inch. At that point, you're getting microtic. So there's no real sense in going smaller than that. So bugs can be at the 1 inch scale. Small rodents like Bloomburrow can be at the half-foot scale. And then you've got like cats and dogs, which can operate at the 1 foot. They're then tiny-sized creatures at the 5-foot scale, but like colossal-sized creatures at the half-foot scale. So like at the half-foot scale, these would be like 6x6 Tarrasque-sized creatures attacking your half-foot, your like 4-inch mouse. A 2-foot dog would be 1, 2, 3. It'd be a colossal size, like the size of a colossal dragon, a 4x4 space at the half-foot scale. So 1 mile, 500 feet, 50 feet, 5 feet, half foot, and then that's 6 inches down to half an inch, and that's my product size. Let's see. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're making ships. So the octopus is honestly it's too large for me just to build out. As is, the squid ship we've already built out the squid ship in the Spelljammer book. So let's go take a gander at it. Here you go. So here's a squid ship. It's at the 250 feet, so it's a 5x5 ship at the 50-foot scale. It has a trebuchet. Let's start building these things out. So we'll figure out the carrier. Ship size, materials. We're gonna go with 1 trebuchet. One, two, three, 4 ballista. One, two, three, 4. 1 Eldritch Cannon. And 4 Harpoon Flingers. Let's pick these up. Weapons. Yeah, I like how this is coming along. Weapons there. I should probably be using a spreadsheet to build these things just to make it easier on myself, but here we are. So weapons, crew, reload, and damage. We know Trebuchet has a crew of 7 with a reload score of 6. And the damage is D8 times 10. For Ballista is... for Ballista. The score for the crew is... It has 3 crew. Its reload score is 2. It has D4 times 10 each. Eldritch Cannon has 1 crew. It has a reload score of 1. It does 1d8 slash 1d4 times 10 if I'm using a spell slot, and as NPCs don't really have spell slots specifically, it has a reload score. It has a recharge, like dragons have a recharge on their breath. If you don't have spell slots or spell points to expend on amplifying the damage of your Eldritch Cannon, you would then have a recharge score of 6. And then if you're higher ranked, if you're higher than just like a half CR, it could be 5, 4, 3, 2. 5th rank, like 14 plus CR creatures have a recharge of 2 or above on a D6. So super easy. The Eldritch the Harpoon Flingers also have a crew of 1 with a reload score of 1. It doesn't have the ability to amplify, but it does do a base 2d8 damage. So that is a total crew of 7, 12, 4, stopped. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so we're working on the squid ship right now. And the squid ship is here in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we have linked down below. It's on the DMsGuild. This is the free preview to look at. So it's a 250-foot ship, so let's go look at its let's go look at its damage. Let's go to table content. And then go to ship melee weapons. And then go down to... The size of a squid ship is 250 feet, so it occupies a 5x5 space at the 50-foot scale. So it's going to do D8 times 10 damage since it's a siege weapon. Ships that are more than 50 feet in size use siege damage, while ships 50 feet or smaller use mounted weapon damage. Mounted weapons are too big for you. Well, I mean, these are melees, so they're built into the ships, but ranged weapons like harpoon flingers and eldritch cannons, they're too big to just carry around as like a heavy crossbow, but they're not large enough to deal siege damage, so they're in that mid-ground territory called mounted weapons, where you mount them to the ship to stabilize them, so you can fire with them. Hold on, I have an illustration of them. Here you go. Not my best illustration, but here's a harpoon flinger. You can see it's loaded up with harpoons that get fired off at the rate of attack that your character has. And this is an eldritch cannon, which basically amplifies cantrips. It does D8 at 1st, 5th, 9th, 13th, 17th level. It does D8, 2D8, 3D8, 4D8, 5D8, force damage, or if you're using like if you're using Ray of Frost, then it would be cold damage. If you're using like Scorching Ray or Flame Burst, I think it is, then it would be fire damage. Just whatever type of cantrip you're using, this amplifies the damage to increase the range, and with your level, increase the damage. You can dump a spell point into the Eldritch Cannon to increase the damage to the size of the spell slot that you're using. So if we're looking at, let's go back up here, look at the Eldritch Cannon. Where'd you go, buddy? There you are. Eldritch Cannon. Depending on the spell slot used, a first level spell does D4 times 10. A third and fourth level spell slot does D6 times 10. A 5 and 6 does D8. 7 and 8 does D10. And a ninth level spell slot does D12 times 10 damage. So every time you, or if you're using my spell point system that's on the DMsGuild, it's one mana for D4, 3 mana for D6, 5 mana for D8, 7 mana for D10, and then 9 mana for D12. And just spam whatever your mana pool is, you can then parse that out. So that means we have a crew of 7, 19, 20, 24. Plus you have to have, generally you want to have 3 pilots. So it takes us to 23. And let's see, I'm going to do that. I don't need you, thank you. Weapons, crew, reload. The reload score is our 6th level characters, or rather our 5th level characters with a +3 proficiency bonus when they make an attack roll as a siege commander, issuing orders to crews of siege weapon engineers to aim, fire, and reload the weapon. That's the initiative. That's the order of operation. The DMG lists it as load, aim, and fire, but we changed it to aim, fire, and then reload, because you're always going to have a weapon, you're always going to have ammunition loaded into your siege weapon to fire on command. You don't want to have to load the weapon then fire. The weapon should already be cocked and ready to fire. So the weapons are loaded, so when you issue the attack command, the crew of NPCs, and like the ballista, the trebuchet for instance requires 7 crew members. So you issue an order, and the 7 crew can use their actions, their bonus actions, and reactions to work together to aim, fire, and then reload the weapon. If the crew, if the commander, your character or an NPC commander, when they issue that order, when they make their attack roll, instead of using your static proficiency bonus, you use a proficiency die instead. In this system, we call it a command die. In our Bastion Campaign system, it's called a Bastion die, but it's just a proficiency die from the DMG. So at first level, it's a D4, D6, D8, D10, and at 17th level, when you have your +6 proficiency bonus, it's a D12. So as you scale up in proficiency bonus, the proficiency die that you roll becomes larger, so it has a larger swing. Between like 1 and 12 is a much larger degree of swing in your attack roll than a static +5 bonus, or what the first level character plus D4 is going to be. So this command die, when you roll it, you make your attack roll D20 plus whatever ability score bonus you're using, and then again, instead of your proficiency bonus, that proficiency die is rolled and added. So like, let's say the armor class to hit a ship is 19, and I'm going to roll a 20-sided die, so I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to take a D20. I'm 5th level, so we're rolling a D6, and let's say I'm using Charisma as my command stat, and at 5th level, it's a let's just say it's an 18, so it's going to be a +4 bonus. So I rolled a 4 on my D6. I rolled a 19 on the D20, and I get the +4 for my Charisma. So that's going to be an armor class of 27 that I hit. So obviously I hit the ship. I issued a command for my trebuchet team to hit that ship. So the attack roll hits, but I only rolled a 4 on my D6, and the reload score is 6. If I rolled a 6 on my D6, the trebuchet would have automatically been reloaded, and then I could just issue another, a 5th level fighter would have 2 attack actions, so I could then just issue the attack action and fire the trebuchet again during my turn of command. Since I didn't roll that die, didn't mean to flip you off there. Since I didn't roll that, since I didn't hit a 6, I only got a 4, even though I hit, my team and my crew isn't coordinating well enough to automatically reload the weapon as part of the command. So now I have to spend action economy reloading the weapon, which I could use an attack or a reaction to issue a reload command. So I'm going to use my reaction to have them reload the weapon. I've lost my reaction. I've already used one of my attacks. I'm now going to issue my second attack action. Actually, I'm going to use my bonus action to issue a second attack because I can use my attack to reload if I fail. So I'm going to issue another attack. Again, the armor class is 19. It's a trebuchet. So I'm going to roll a d20 plus d6 plus my 4 for my intelligence, my charisma. I rolled a 16 on the d20. So that's a base 20. So I hit the armor class 19, and the reload score, that'd be a total armor class of 23. But 3 is not good enough to reload the trebuchet. So I'm going to use my last attack as a 5th level fighter and reload the weapon, and my turn is over, and the weapon is reloaded. And now I can pass the turn to the Bard of Valor, and the Bard of Valor can now use its 2 attacks. And it won't have a second attack until level 6. So it has 1 attack, 1 reaction, and 1 bonus action. So the weapon's already loaded. It could use the attack action to issue the command to attack. It could use its bonus action to use Bardic Inspiration to spike its roll. When you use Bardic Inspiration, it replaces your command die. So I'm going to use a Bardic Inspiration die to roll a D8 instead of the D6. And I get the let's say +5 bonus because I'm a bard. And I put it into charisma. It could have been strength or whatever, but I chose charisma. And I'm a bard, so let's put it at 20 at level 5. So I'm going to roll, and I got, holy Hannah. Okay, I got a 7. I got a 7 on my D8, so that'll automatically reload the weapon. And I rolled a 12 on the D20 plus 5 for my charisma. That's a 17 plus the 7. That's a 24. So I hit the armor class 19, and I rolled high enough to automatically reload the weapon because I hit the reload score of 7. So my bard was able to use a Bardic Inspiration die to, instead of using the D6 for their proficiency die, instead use their Bardic Inspiration die at 5th level as a D8. So that's basically how that system works. So when you're using NPCs, you want to look at a Spelljammer pilot can see and hear and communicate with anybody within the space that the ship occupies. You can see anywhere, everywhere. You can be anywhere you want at once. Like you're scrying. That's how Spelljammer works. So that means that you always have eyes on the crews, your siege crews on your ship. So you can have siege commanders that are also pilots operating the ship, but while they're piloting the ship, they're infused as the Spelljammer pilot, so they can see the siege crew up on top of the deck, even though you're down in the helm, the bridge of the ship, tucked away. You can still directly interact with your siege crew because the magic of the Spelljamming helm allows you to see them aboard your ship. So you could use your object interaction to move the ship. You could then use like an attack action to issue siege weapons to fire. Your fighter, as a pilot, could use their other attack to make, in this case, since we're looking at squid ships, they could use one of the tentacles to make an attack with a tentacle as a melee attack. So attack, item interaction to move the ship. That leaves me with a reaction and a bonus action open. I'm going to keep my reaction open in case I need to dodge to help evade with the ship, for instance. And then maybe I'll leave the bonus action. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to contribute the bonus action to somebody else to help them with their action economy, because we can share our action economy together. So I'm going to use my bonus action. Yeah, I'll let somebody else work the siege crew, and I can use my bonus action to make a second siege weapon attack. So there you go. And if we wanted, we could have multiple pilots all co-piloting together. That would each, like, since you're sitting at the helm and you're not moving, you can move your character around during your turn at the 5-foot scale, but to move ships around, you're piloting the ship. So that's using an object interaction as free economy as part of piloting the ship. So, I'm sorry, my screen's kind of in the way there. There we go. Okay, this is the edge of my screen. You just can't see it. So it was kind of clipping my arm. I wasn't liking that. But yeah, multiple pilot and multiple characters, if they're all focused on and at the location of the helm and the bridge of the ship, like in the belly of your ship, then they can all have, during their turn, they have visual access information as though they're piloting the ship themselves. As long as they can maintain concentration on piloting, then they're able to move the ship like a creature. Like it's almost like wild shaping as a druid into a 400 or 250 or 50 foot creature that you now use your action economy this way at these larger scales as a living ship, because that's what this in this version of these variant rules of Spelljammer that we created. This is how we interact. Like this is how we make the ships do. So all the ships that we have created here, they're shaped like creatures, so they all operate like where we at. There we are. All these ships are shaped like creatures. It's like the Night Spider. When it's being piloted, the spider animates as a 200-foot spider. That's got legs. It's got mandibles. The legs can spear as piercing weapons. The mandibles can grapple or pierce damage to grab things. And you can see here on the back of the Night Spider, it's got two ballista here, two mangonels here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 harpoon flingers on the top side of its belly. On the underbelly underneath it, we don't have the underbelly view here, but if we were to flip it over, it would then be able to host spiderlings. Spiderlings are fighter craft, this is at the 5-foot scale. So this spiderling fighter craft is 40 feet in size. So basically, it can occupy 1 square. These squares are 50-foot squares. So you could put 1 spiderling per 50-foot square on your carrier ship. So you could have one here. You could have another one here. You can have a third one, press the button. You could have one clinging onto each leg. If you wanted to, just basically like gripping onto the legs, having the base of their head up against the frame of the deck of the ship, so you can just pop open a door, walk onto your spiderling, release from the leg, and then fly off to do your own spiderling stuff. You could also fit a spiderling into the belly, into the abdomen if you wanted to, but generally just clipping them on the underside and the sides of the ship. Like here, you could have one clipped to the side here, side here, side here, side here, and then underbelly here and here. You could have 6 spiderlings clutching onto the abdomen of this Night Spider mothership. So when this Night Spider attacks, like if it's a pirate and it attacks somebody, it would then unhook all the spiderlings would unhook and then would be able to go forth and swarm onto the deck of a larger ship. We have an example of that here in the combat section. It's with Xerax's elves and the Doomspace fleet. But the example showing here is we have these multiple multiple star moths engaging this pair of hammerhead ships, and these star moths are accompanied by Warhawk fighter craft. So at the 500-foot scale, it's just this token is representing a squadron of star moth ships, and that's at the 500-foot scale. So if we zoom in to the 50-foot scale, this is a 10 by 10 square, and each star moth is 200 feet. So you can see we have like 3 star moths and 4 Warhawk fighter craft in each squadron. At the 500-foot scale, they can all attack as a single group. Here at the 50-foot scale, you can have them all attack as a single group, or you can have them act separately. In this instance, we see one Warhawk has left its space and entered the space of this hammerhead ship and is now landed onto the deck. So if we then zoom into the 5-foot scale, we can see this Warhawk has landed on the mid-deck of the hammerhead ship and is now dumping Elven Marines out onto the deck to fight the crew that would be stationed at each of these weapons. So that the 5 foot, 50 foot, and 500 foot scale, they all exist at the same time at different scales. So while this ship is boarding here and troops are pouring out, your characters are acting on their own action economy at the 5 foot scale, or they could use some of their action economy at the 50 foot scale to engage these Star Maws and Warhawk fighter craft with your. You could command your two Hammerhead ships together to do a volley of fire against these 3 Star Maws, or to use smaller fire against the fighter craft. And then if you wanted to, you could also use your action economy, like an attack at the 50 foot scale. You could issue an order with a bonus action at the 5 foot scale, and like say use your other attack to issue an order for like this, and this squadron to all fire against this squadron here. So you can use all of your action economy broken up between the different scales. They all exist at the same time at this 5, 50, and 500 foot scale. So you just bounce back and forth on them. Like this is how we would set up our virtual tabletop in Roll20 when we're doing ship combat in Spelljammer. We would have the fleet scale here. This is the Citadel of Light of Light-Azaraxis. Each square is 500 feet. This is a 1 mile asteroid base. And you can see it has trebuchet defense towers here, here, and here. We have all the stats in it later on in the book. Like the entire Light-Azaraxis adventure we converted to using Spelljammer combat and exploration mechanics, and we redid the entire adventure using these mechanics. So you can see that down in this appendix here, which is the converting Light-Azaraxis. So the following comments and suggestions integrate the Light-Azaraxis adventure with the Spelljammer combat and exploration rules above. A copy of Light-Azaraxis is needed to make full use of the I missed the word of somehow. Full use of the following content in the adventure. All maps and tokens needed to use this conversion are included with purchase. If you buy this book, all the maps and tokens and creatures, like we did, like Flapjack and Captain Sartell. Here's the brute. What's that dude's name? What is his name? No, I can't remember his fucking name. Hold on. There it is. Captain Sartell. I can't find his name offhand. Sorry, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he tries to mutiny the ship while you're on board of it. So we have rules for mutiny, of course. So yeah, all these mechanics, all the NPCs for the elves. All the space combat encounters, like the derelict and the Yogi chasing after you. So here's the Spiderling squadron, 3 of them attacking in formation together. All the Yogi and Umber Hulk. We added Umber Hulk to attack your ship. The Spiderling. Let's go back up to look at the Spiderling real quick. Hold on. I love this stuff. That's why I talk about it. The Spiderling. You can see here the Spiderling's abdomen is a 10 by 10 space. Umber Hulk, you can fit an Umber Hulk in this abdomen, and these back here, these are door. If you buy this thing, you'll see the schematics of the Spiderling, and these doors open up, so it can hold an Umber Hulk inside. And then when you open up the doors, the Umber Hulk jumps out and then starts to attack the crew on the deck of your ship, keeping them from following the orders that you're issuing to attack the Night Spiders, because your crew is currently being butchered by an Umber Hulk. So now you have to use your 5 foot action economy to fight the Umber Hulk to keep it off of your crew, so you could use an attack or bonus action to issue the command to fire the siege weapon while you're fighting the Umber Hulk and keeping it off of your crew. So you can have these things operate at different scales at the same time during combat. That was our solution to how to make ship combat dynamic and fast, by having many people's action economy work together to allow you to make attacks, melee and ranged attacks at the ship scale, the same as you would in a dungeon at the 5 foot scale, as though you were riding a horse or an elephant or something. It's basically the same thing, but just a larger scale. Your action economy remains the exact same. And we go into action economy in the combat chapter, which is here. You can be free to read that. But we were looking at weapon damages. So we had that taken care of. Let's see. Let's go with... I've ran out of room for crew. Let's just go with basic crew. Basic ship functions. So we're going to have 3 pilots. Because because a pilot can only work 8-hour shifts before becoming fatigued. So you have 3 pilots. We're going to have one captain who can double as a pilot. We're going to have a dedicated siege commander. Actually, we're going to have 2 siege commanders that act as second in commands. And then we have the 3 pilots. So that is 6, 13, 25, 26, 30. So the battleship has a crew of 30. We'll do that. Ooh, we could do it this way. Oh yeah, let's do it like this. Yeah, that's gonna work. And then what? General facilities. Let's call it Gen Facilities. I'll give a say. Let's just get 6 in there just for the fun of it. So we need so for all weapons to be active, to be flying 24 hours a day, to have the captain and 2 siege commanders overseeing the actions of pilots and the crew, and then just general facilities like a mess cook, cleaning crew, repairmen. Just have 6 of those. And actually, let's do 2 per 50-foot square. So we're gonna go with 10. So we're gonna have a total of 40 crew on the ship. Generally, your air supply is going to last 100 days per 50 foot of space per 10 medium-sized creatures. So like the Star Moth, for example, it occupies a 4x4 space at the 50-foot scale. It can provide air for 40 crew for 100 days. If I have less crew, it can last longer. If I have more crew, it'll last shorter. So, but these squid ships can load up on, let's go back down and look at our image of the squid ship here. So it's a 5x5 space, and again, if we're going to have boarding skiffs and fighter craft, the Inkfish fighter craft that the space pirates of Lazar are using, they're only 15-foot fighter craft. So a 15-foot fighter craft, you can fit 3 of them, like you can fit 9 of them into a 50-foot square pretty easily. So on this back hood here, occupying a 50-foot space, we could have 9 Inkfish fighter craft on the underside of this fin here. We could also have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could have like easily 10 fighter craft basically moored to this ship, and while they're inside the space that that its mothership occupies, the fighter craft will be able to travel with the ship as long as they're hooked or grappled to it. They'll be able to move with that ship as though they're just being carried or grappled. When they detach from the squid ship, as long as they stay inside the space occupied by the ship, which is this 250-foot bubble, as long as the fighter craft remain inside this space, they will continue to carry along with the gravity of the squid ship. If they leave the bubble of the squid ship, they are now on their own. Normally, fighter craft have a slower speed. They can move basically 1% of the speed of a vessel. So ships want to get within, want to touch and get inside of each other's air bubbles, like overlap them like a Venn diagram. You want to overlap your air bubbles so you can send your fighter craft over from your bubble to their bubble. So now those fighter craft are using your enemy's air gravity well to stay within reach of the ship. And then they can start boarding or just attacking the crew, depending on what kind of a ship you have. It's a mecha or a fighter craft. It could be a melee and a ranged fighter craft. So we're going to build the Inkfish here in a few minutes. But this squid ship, these tentacles can animate and reach out and grab and damage. And its front prow, this massive piercing ram that it has, can be used to impale and then grapple ships. So it can grab and then hook into the ship and hold firm to the ship. The pilot has to succeed a saving throw to break free from the ship. And if the squid ship is bigger than the target ship being grappled, then the grappled pirate's going to the grappled pilot will have to make their save with disadvantage. If they're larger than the ship, then they can save with advantage. Bigger ships break free of smaller ships more easily. Advantage versus disadvantage. So that's the basic ideas of how this thing works. It has let's see, weapons. Let's add in tentacles. It has 2 tentacles. Each one requires an attack, and it just works just like grappling does. If you're grappling creatures with one of the tentacles, you can't attack something else with it. It's you're grappling and you're holding that target, but you still have another tentacle that's free that can attack, and you have the piercing ram that you can also hit and stab with as well as a melee attack. 2 tentacles, reload score of 1. Melee weapons always have a reload score of 1, so you're guaranteed to automatically reload the weapon. And at the 250-foot scale, let's go back to the table of contents, then go down to ship melee weapons. There we go. And the damage that we deal, oops, wrong direction. Yeah, here we go. 250 feet at the siege scale, 50-foot scale, 5 at the 50-foot scale. So it's going to do D8 times 10. It's going to do 1d8 times 10 damage each melee attack. And like the squid ship has 250 damage, has 250 hit points. So D8 times 10, ships can tear each other apart typically within 4 rounds, which is about the speed of combat that you normally want your combat to resolve in 3 to 6 rounds. So most ships will be able to tear a ship of similar size apart in about 4 rounds typically. So the speed actually operates at the same speed as your normal 5e combat, with the same action economy as your normal 5e combat. It's just 5e combat, but at this, it's as though you're wild shaping up to these larger scales, as though you were a druid. This also then opens the door for a circle of kaiju that allow druids to wild shape into these kaiju-sized creatures to fight at the ship scale. But we'll get to that another day. Yeah, we're currently building out ships. So we already know the floor plan for the squid ship. We have begged off building the calamari, which is the carrier flagship for the Space Pirate Lazar fleets. It's 400 feet in size, 8x8 at the 50-foot scale. Here's a profile of it, and here's a top-down view. This would have we could go ahead and build out some of it. Let's see. It's going to have 1 captain. It's going to have 3 first mate. It's going to have siege commanders. We're going to give it 4 because it's going to have cardinal direction cannons. I mean, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, 5. There's going to be 5 siege commanders. Let's see. General facilities. This has what? 2 times 8, 16. And then we're going to take weapon, crew, reload, and damage. So when we're looking at the octopus, we're going to have, I'm going to broaden this out a little bit. This is lopsided. I need to fix it. Let's erase that half and save. Dagnubbit, I pulled that out of frame. I hate doing that. Let's put it back. Let's reopen it so it's in frame again. I do all the artwork and mapping and schematics and page layouts for all the books that I publish. So any of the books that you see down below, if you click on them and look at the free preview, they are chock full of both my art and my ideas. Y'all are most welcome to go take a look at that stuff. And while you're at it, if you think that stuff is cool, be welcome to join my Discord community. Free access to anybody who wants to be there. If you want to play test any of this stuff, integrate it into your own campaigns as a DM or as a player, participate in any of the play testing that I'm doing, be welcome to say hey to me down in my Discord. I'm gonna do that. Let's copy paste, free transform, flip horizontal. Let's merge this down. Something like that. That-ish. Yeah, that feels good. Bring this in a little bit like that. Okay, we're gonna put a gun pod on its crown. We're gonna have one back here in its belly, on its butt. We're gonna have another one here in its side, and we're gonna have another one here on its side, and then we're gonna have another one here above its head. These a little bit bigger. Oh, we should probably have one on the bottom too, shouldn't we? Let's carve into this and carve into here. And then carve up here. And then on the gun belly down here, it has this central gravity plane here. So gravity goes this way underneath, and gravity goes this way, so you can flip back and forth along this gravity line, like if you use Bob, like on a current. You can flip over like David Bowie in Labyrinth, and then we have here at the front end, gun turret here. So pew pew pew, pew pew pew, pew pew pew, pew pew pew, and then we have our deck, our bridge. Back here, put a triangle for bridge. This is our release deck. This is where our fighter craft and skiffs and stuff can be garaged, but you can have any number of skiffs and craft grabbing hold of these tentacles along, so you can have a shitload of ships basically hanging onto the tentacles of Mother. But you can also, like, this is 150 feet. You can put a whole tradesman inside of the ship here. But this is that zero gravity point inside here. So anything that's parked in here is technically at zero gravity, just kind of bobbing along that gravity line there. So having your hangar on the gravity line is a good way to not actually have to worry about whether your ship can land or not, because it's just bobbing in space, in the interior negative space of your ship that you've carved out. And then you can close up your doors to protect it. Clomp, clomp. And we've got, guns above, and we've got guns down here, and we've got guns here to protect ships coming and going. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the underdeck here, we have 6 down there. So that's 6 gun pods that we're gonna want. So that's gonna mean 6 siege commanders, 1 siege commander per gun pod, and then we'll figure out what the crew of the pod is. We're going to call the siege commanders 2nd rank. We're going to call the first mate 3rd rank. We're going to call the captain 3rd rank. General facilities, we also need pilots. We're going to have a shift of 6 pilots, and they're all going to be 2nd rank. And then general facilities are going to be 1 to 3. Let's just call them 1st rank in general. And then we're going to have our weapons. So we're going to have trebuchet. Oh, wait, we have our melee weapons. We have 8 tentacles. One pilot. Reload score is always 1. The damage that we deal at 8 squares is going to be D10 times 10 damage. 1d10 times 10 damage each. It has 8 tentacles, which means it can grapple. Each tentacle requires, it's as though you have multiple arms. Each attack requires its own action or bonus action to attack with. The advantage of having 8 limbs like that is that you can grapple a whole bunch of stuff and still be able to attack other things. So it's just good for grabbing. Plus, you can use multiple tentacles to grab hold of a ship. If you're attempting piracy, this ship is big enough to literally grab and carry your ship away back to where it wants, while people are coming off of the are coming down the tentacles to board and kill everybody aboard the ship. Once everybody's been killed on the ship, they just dump you off the side and fly off with your ship, whole parcel, and just dump all the crew that took it over. They start populating the ship, and then the octopus can release it, and now they've acquired a new ship. So there you go. So we have 8 tentacles. They do D10 times 10 damage each. And again, like the squid ship has 250. This thing has 800 hit points, so it can take a lot of damage. And so we're gonna look at, let's see, what kind of damage can they do to each other. We're gonna have some trebuchet. Let's say 6 trebuchet. Seven. Let's say it has a 2nd rank crew. It's still only 1st rank crew, so it's going to be reload score of 6. And it does 1d8 times 10 damage. The Siege Commander being second rank means that they roll a d6 on their reload score. So they have to roll a 6 on a d6 like we were rolling earlier. They have to roll a 6 on a d6 to automatically reload the trebuchet. Otherwise, they have to spend extra action economy to coordinate the crew to reload the weapon to fire again. But if you roll that 6 or above on your command die, like if the captain or the first mate took over their third rank, they roll d8s. So it's 6, 7, or 8 on a d8. They can automatically reload and fire a trebuchet again more than once in a round. And as you get into higher levels of campaign, you can have higher ranked creatures with higher action economy and damage caps. Let's see. Trebuchet, yes. Let's go with Mangonel. Let's go with how do we want to do that? No, let's do 12 Ballista. They each have a crew of 3. 36. Reload score on those Ballista with a first rank crew is your crew minus the rank of your crew, which is first rank because they're cheap. So that's going to reduce your reload score to 2. So on a 2 through 6, on a D6, you're going to automatically be able to reload any single Ballista. If you fire multiple weapons at the same time, you add up all of their reload scores, and that's the number that you have to hit on your die. So the captain with a D8, if they rolled an 8, they would be able to command 4 Ballista to fire, aim, fire, and reload as a barrage together. But it would do 4d4 times 10 damage. But if you flub the reloads, like if I didn't get an 8 on my die, then I have to spend action economy for each siege weapon. So I could do a heavy the side of the ship with like 15 cannons firing at the same time. You can do that, but now you have to spend, like if that was like 15 cannons, that generally we go in blocks of 10. So if you had 10 cannons fired and they all had a reload score of 3, that would be a total reload score of 30. It's impossible for you to do that on a D anything. So you would then have to spend 10 pieces of action economy, reactions or attacks as command actions for the crew to reload all 10 of those weapons. If all I have is one siege commander, it's going to be a whole minute, 10 rounds before I'm going to be able to have all those weapons lined up again. But if it's like say I had 4 siege commanders and they were all working together, then they could get them all reloaded basically like in 2 or 3 rounds. Or they could start breaking down the action economy to commanding only 1 or 2 Ballista each. After you do the big barrage, you can then break up into fire at will. And now each crew can be firing on their own time. So you'd have like 2 or 3 Ballista at a time firing off once per round amongst the 12 Ballista that you have. So I could do a volley of 12d4 times 10 as a single barrage hit, and then break it into 3 Ballista each, so I'd have 4 attacks doing 3d4 times 10 damage each when they hit. But I can only do that one. I could do all 3 of those once a turn. So this massive carrier ship, it's a 400-foot ship. It's a nightmare. It is going to destroy you. But 3d4 times 10 damage, that's going to be on average like 60 damage. It can take it can take 800 points of damage before your team gets involved in shielding it and reactions to have damage and resistances and deflecting damage and all the things that characters can do with their reactions and bonus actions to increase the hit points, armor class, or survivability of the ship in general. So you can effectively, any crew that's at the appropriate level, like this ship is like a 13th level ship. It's an 8x8 space, which basically means that for this ship to operate at its optimal, your crew is probably going to have to be 13th level. Like 13th level characters will be able to command this ship well and take on threats at scale that this size of a ship would be designed to fight. You could give the ship to your team earlier, but they're going to be a low level. They're not going to be able to use all the tools, like all the weapons that it has. They're not going to be able to use all of those well. So, man, there you go. So, smaller ships for smaller characters, or you have a bigger ship, treat it like a Bastion as a home base that you can have ships clip onto. Like these squid ships are 250 feet long, and each of these squares is 50 feet. So like we could easily have, like, I'm gonna just mess with this for a second, fade that down a little bit, along this gravity line, like on the outside of the ship. Hit save. There we go. Like you could have a squid ship, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. Like this is what your typical squid ship looks like, right? On the gravity plane, free transform. You'd have sitting here like upside down along the side of the ship here. And if it's underneath, it would basically like be sitting like hunched up underneath the ship like this along the side. So this carrier could be carrying these squid ships like it's like side rails that are basically attached to it. And then you can have any number of inkfish that are attached along the tentacles if you wanted, or along the underbelly here, or you can fit like 3 of them here every 50 feet because the ink ships are only 15 feet in size. We'll get to those in a second because we've just about finished out our carrier, just the basics of it, and we've already taken care of our squid ship, at least the basics. I mean, because you can fit facilities inside of these ships as long as the space is available. Like first rank facilities only needs a 10 by 10 space, basically 4 5-foot squares. A second rank, it needs 4, 6, 8, 10. It needs 6. It needs 2 by 2, 4 by 4, 6 by 6, 8 by 8, 10 by 10. Right. So 4 by 4. It needs a 20-foot space or 16 5-foot squares. So a squid ship, which is 20 feet wide, a 20-foot wide, 20-foot deep block inside the core of the ship. Like along here, you could fit a second-rank facility here. A 5th-rank facility requires 100 feet in size, basically a 2 by 2 space at the 50-foot scale. So like 5th rank, that's like for like making iron golems and like crafting legendary magic items. It's big business. So it would require big space, but this octopus has a 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. It has a 250-foot bulb here that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 250 by 200 by 5, 10 by 200. So 200 by 200 by 250. This thing is massive. You could fit 3 whole decks up here. Like this area right here alone, this is the size of a flying fish. This right here alone, here and then here and then here, that's basically 3 squid ships stacked up on top of each other, tight fitted. Like that's how much this thing has, a shitload of space. So I'm not gonna map it out right now. That's a little ridiculous. We're not gonna map that out right now. But we can at least get the base stats of it. If we go on long enough, I will build the floor plans for the calamari. That's the name of this octopus ship. So the calamari, we could build this thing out. We've built out a 500-foot crab before. Volcath's Battle Station. That's one of our playlists that we have on my YouTube channel there, and we'll eventually publish that. But it basically turns Doom Space in Light of Zaraxis, Volcath's space station that's in orbit around the moon Volcath. It occupies a 500-foot space. It has an arena and a docking bay. It's basically a battle station, but it sits inside a 500-foot space, which means that a spell jamming helm can operate it, which means that if it has limbs, it can be animated and move. So we built a crab out of it. And hold on, let me see if I can find that real quick. It's been a while since we've looked at it, but I love it. So let's go take a look. Let's see, Volcath Battle Crab. You guys are gonna like this one. That is Vocav's crab. Let's conceal all of these bits. This is our where'd my grid go? Grid. This is the upper reaches of the moon Vocath. These cloud banks can be used to conceal your movement and to hide, so you can hide ships. Here's Vocath's crab itself. Again, at the 50-foot scale, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 500 feet. Each of these legs can act as a piercing ram. It's got these massive grapple claws. Let's go find... Let's see if I can go find his underbelly. Hold on. Base plates. Cloud cover. Why is the underside showing? Hold on. There it is. There's the underside of it. So this is what it looks like topside. Here's the arena. Here's Vocath's tower. But on the underside, you can see the under rigging of the claws, the under rigging of how the joints work for the legs, and it has this array here of trebuchet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Basically, underneath it is this little star of death here. It has this 250-foot landing platform here for ships to dock. Here, I'll show you the where to go. Chugga chugga. There we go. There's that. Where's the rest of it? Hold on. Titans. Reference. Ah, here we go. See, here's what the base looks like. You can see the tower here, and then you have all these massive crystals. Well, the way that we have them built is that these massive crystals are folded up underneath the chassis, but when they unfurl, these are those crystals. So it has 6 crystals that tuck up underneath it, and when it splays out, it can then, well, if we needed to walk on something, we could, but it has spell jamming capabilities. It can fly just like anything else. So I'm trying to find what the hell happened to the rest of it. Here's our allies. Cloud cover. Star Moss Squadron. Star Moss at the 500-foot scale. Devil's Deal at the 5-foot scale. Titans, no. Base plates, no. Sorry, I'm just trying to find where the hell this all went. Oh, here it is. Here's all the interior decks. If we were to take off the roof, we can see that its damselfly fits inside this space. Where'd my grid go? It's still there. And we could, let's see. beautiful. That where'd my roof go? We can peel off that layer, and here is. We don't have the 5 foot. For some reason, the 5 foot scale isn't showing here. I have a 5 foot grid that this should be tracking to. I don't know why it's not right now. It must be roof, cargo deck, shadow, grid. I don't know where my grid went. Anyway, sorry, distracted. I haven't looked at this in a while, but this is all the different decks. We'll eventually publish this out for people to play around with. And then the roof. There you go. But this occupies a 500 foot space. Anyway. We'll publish that eventually so we can add it to Light as Araxis. Just got to get to it. Maybe a couple months from now we'll do it. Let's see. Let's get back on track. So, trebuchet, ballistas, that's generally what you need. Siege weapons can't attack targets smaller than 50 feet in size if those things have cover. So, like, your character isn't just going to get hit with a D8 times 10 trebuchet and get splattered unless they're just drifting out in space with zero cover or, like, running along a plane, like a flat field, and there's nothing to give them any kind of cover. Then, yeah, they can get hit with a ballista for D4 times 10 damage or smashed by a trebuchet for D8 times 10 damage. The trebuchet shot's going to be at disadvantage, but still, you're an easy target to hit. So you always want to have at least at least half cover or more, because that prevents you from taking damage. Like when you're along, like adjacent to the railing or a structure, or while you're occupying space with a siege weapon or the mast of a ship. These are all half or 3/4 cover. And then if you're inside a building somewhere, you have 100% cover, so you can't get targeted at all. So that's how you protect your smaller things from being destroyed by this larger scale damage. And this larger scale damage can't just destroy a ship outright normally. So it can take a number of rounds of punishment before you decide if you want to stay or run away. Just a normal, typical round, like 2 rounds into a normal D&D combat, and you know if you're winning or not. And at that point, you can decide if you want to turn and get the hell out of there. Then you can do a skill challenge, an opposed skill challenge to try to escape your target, and then escape and then come back another day, or if you get stuck in fact because you can't shake them off. So 12 ballista is a 1d4 times 10 each. We'll load up with, let's go with 4 Eldritch Cannons. We're going to put that on the nose. So it's going to be a crew of 1, 4. And then reload score is 1. And it does 1d8, 1d4 times 10 each. And then let's get some harpoon flingers in there. 6 stations. Let's go with 6 harpoon flingers each. So that's going to be 36 harpoon flingers. 36. Reload score is 1. It's 2d8 it's 2d8 piercing damage each. So we have a standing crew of 6, 8, 10, 11, 53, 80, 89, 93, 99, 129. So we have a crew of 129. Plus any additional crew that are on board. This is just what we need to man all weapons and to pilot the ship on a 24/7 ongoing ship. Have leadership responsibility always available to make decisions for the ship on deck, and enough service crew to make the ship work. We can always add in more general facilities crew if we need them as we go. So next, let's build out our. Well, the boarding skiff's going to be pretty easy, but we got to do the work. So let's do the work. Let's create some space here between these. This is the job. If I build all this stuff out at the front end, it makes it super easy for us to resolve later, actually during the game. This is game prep. This is building all the like last week we started building the pirate community to know what sort of resources and manpower that it had available to it to do stuff. Prior to that week, on episode 25. What episode are we on right now? Episode 27. So episode 25. Holy Hannah. Hey, thanks a lot, guys, for a whole bunch of people checking out the channel. If you think this shit is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I do stuff like this on Mondays and Thursday nights like this, and Saturday mornings as well. And it just depends on what's going on. It's either Spelljammer, Bastion campaigns, Magic the Gathering, color mana systems, martial powers, the alternate magic system for martial characters to act like half-casters. There's a lot of different things that were the mecha stuff as well. We did mecha on episode 24, I think. So you can check the playlist that this is attached to on my stream and just go through and look at the topics and then dive in. And then all the documents that we're building inside of, they're all right here. Spelljammer Combat and Exploration is already published on the DMsGuild. I want to do some updates to the spell casting, but we'll get that done probably next month. Campaign. So if you buy it now, if you wanted to buy it, you'll get all the assets right away. But when the book gets updated, you can just go back to your library and click update, and it'll give you the newest version. And I update these things anywhere from typically like 9 months to 2 years, depending on how much I've used it and how much feedback there's been, and how my design philosophies may evolve. The subclass, the Spelljammer subclasses, all 13 subclasses have a unique Spelljammer subclass using these mechanics that we built. The Kaiju and Constructs shows you how to, instead of ships being creature-shaped, they're people-shaped, so you can have a 40-foot mecha with a 40-foot longsword or an 80-foot glaive to have, sentinel feet active on your 40-foot mecha. So it's fighting like 150-foot kaiju, so you're at the 50-foot, you're occupying a 50-foot square in your 40-foot mecha, and you're fighting a 150-foot kaiju that's occupying a 3x3 space at the 50-foot scale. It's the same as though your 5-foot character were fighting a huge-sized giant at 15 feet in size. It's just 10 times larger. So that's an easy way to use all the mechanics from D&D that you already know, and with just a little bit of tweaking, you can make it work at the 50, 500-foot scale, 1 mile scale, 5-inch scale, half-inch scale. Anything smaller than half inches is microtic, so you start getting into the quantum realm, like Ant-Man and shit. But Ant-Man typically is operating like at the half-inch scale. It's generally where you're at. So you can scale up and down from Bloomborough to Neon Genesis, everything in between. We now have an effective scaling system that allows us to change, literally change the scale of adventure during your adventure. Kind of like in the new Doom video game. You had the dragon, which is like a 20-foot mount, and then you had the Doom mecha, which was a 50-foot construct. That's exactly the same thing that we're doing here, using 5e action economy. It's basically Lancer for D&D Spelljammer, using the 5e game engine instead of the off 4e engine that Lancer uses. So you can use this to play Lancer if you wanted to, or fight Kaiju. We built Kaiju on episode 25, so you can go take a look at colossal-sized creatures that are way bigger than 20 feet. So I digress. Let's get back to work. Okay, we're going to. So we already have the squid ship. We're poking at the octopus. We'll talk about weapon arrays another time when we start building that stuff out. But I just want to stay focused on building out the stats for this stuff. Like the skiff, it's going to have basically a bludgeoning ram. No, we're going to have a piercing ram. And it's 50 feet in size, so let's go look at 50 feet. It does 5d8 damage. Crew of 1, which is the pilot. Reload score is 1 as the pilot, 5d8. see. Only requires a crew of 1. Then we'll go with our fighter craft and then the mecha. So let's build the boarding skiff real quick. The boarding skiff's gonna be pretty boring. So, but we gotta build it. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 50. That's the space that it can occupy. Works down. Actually, yeah, let's drop it down. Down. Recede that a little bit. Let's make a separate layer here. So we're doing a skiff with a piercing ram. So we're gonna build in a ram basically like this. Transform. Flip horizontal. Push down. Transform, flip horizontal, door opens. That's our helm. This is a window. Let's put little gun pods out here. That sounds like a fun idea. That represents a harpoon flinger. Where'd you go? Up here. Come on, buddy. Where'd you go? Oh, that's right, ranged. Siege weapons. Here we go. That's our harpoon flinger. So it has in the void, it has a 500-foot range with a maximum range of 1 mile or 5,000 feet away. 2d8 piercing damage and We can use ammunition. We can use harpoon bolts. 14 ammunition. Stone, special ammunition. Shrapnel flak. Bolt ammunition. Hold on. Towing cables. When you deal damage using this ammunition, so the towing cable, it increases your reload score by 2. So the harpoon flinger has a reload score of 1. So however many attacks you have, you'll always be able to fire a harpoon flinger that often. But if you equip your harpoon flinger with towing cables, it increases the reload score by 2. So now instead of having a reload score of 1, it has a reload score of 3. So on your D6, basically 3 to 6 will automatically reload to fire the weapon again. But what the towing cable does is when you deal damage using this ammunition, the target is grappled as though the ammunition is a piercing ram with a reach equal to the length of the cable, which can be up to 5,000 feet away, anywhere from 500 to 5,000 feet. So there you go. Just add rope, and it becomes a grappling weapon. So you can then reel your enemy in. So we have the piercing rams that allow us to impact and stick into the side of a ship. And then we can offload crew that are aboard here. We can see here we can have one here occupying a harpoon flinger. And then I'm going to duplicate this here. Hold on. Transform, flip horizontal, there, merge down. So now we have 2 harpoon flingers, so we can have crew here, technically they can be occupying the space of the harpoon flinger, but it's on a weird position, so we're just going to have it occupy this space here with an X, and then crew back here is X. So let's go with piercing ram and then 2 harpoon flingers. My music stopped again. There we go. There. So X's represent crew. And we'll go with 2 harpoon flingers. Crew of 1 each. Reload score of 1 or 3, depending if we're using grappling armor or not. 2d8 damage plus grapple. This thing's all about grappling. So if I hit you with ranged weapons, I can then reel into your ship, and then I can use the piercing rams to stab into the deck. So I could have 1, 2, 3, 4. I could have 4 4 grapples on you, and you'll be at a disadvantage to try to break for your grapple because there's so many of them. 2 harpoon flingers, piercing ram, crew. I'm gonna go with 2 piercing rams. Pilot. No, wait. So it has a base crew of 3. The pilot back in the booth, 2 harpoon gunners, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We can put 20 crew, 20 pirates onto this skiff. So we could then, if we're attacking your ship, this 20-foot skiff, we can put 5 of them easily inside of a 50-foot space. So we can dump a bunch of boarding skiffs off of the octopus to swarm around whatever ship that we want, and then flood the deck with a bunch of pirates, while the carrier ship is at a distance, still trying to distract and damage and draw fire from the target ship instead of targeting the crew. Or you could have the carrier ship come in real close to provide cover for these smaller boarding craft, so they can't be targeted directly with siege weapons. The siege weapons would only be able to target and attack the calamari. So these little skiffs would then have the freedom to get in and hit the ship and then start dumping crew aboard, while the carrier ship is basically tanking damage for the crew that you're dumping on board. See how that works? That's the idea anyway. So we're gonna go boarding skiff. So calamari check. The carrier ship, the squid ship, check. We got the boarding skiff, check. Let's do the fighter craft, the inkfish. So inkfish are going to be 15 feet. So this is our 50-foot space, 10 by 10 at the 5-foot scale. Our inkfish is going to be only 15 feet. It's very, very small fighter craft. It's cheap. It's only a few. It's 450 gold to build one 15-foot ship. Anything that can occupy this space is 450 gold to build. And anything that's only up to 50 feet in size, a Spelljammer helm, a minor helm only costs 400 gold. A major helm, which can pull up to 500 feet, that's 4,000 gold. So this is an uncommon magic item, and this is a rare magic item. You typically don't get access to rare magic items until 3rd rank, like level 9 plus, while you can easily create uncommon magic items at 5th level. A minor helm is what you need for the fighter craft, as well as the mecha. In this campaign, although it doesn't have to be this way, in this campaign we're limiting mecha to only 50 feet in size. You could allow to have 200-foot mecha if you wanted to, but generally mecha are there to fight giants and other gargantuan-sized creatures that you could be in scale with them in combat, so they aren't overwhelming you. But then that allows us to push up to like 150, 250, 1,500-foot kaiju monsters that at that hundreds of feet in scale, you're going to need to have ships, like actual cruiser ships, to be able to fight that scale of kaiju. Your little 50-foot mecha isn't going to do anything to a 1,500-foot space kraken. It's just going to ignore you. So you need to have bigger ships or swarms that can deal damage over time to bring it down. Kind of like the Trask. Let's see. Okay, so let's build. I'm gonna build half the ship and then mirror it again. I like how that went. This is the core of what I need right here. I have my helm. And then I've got my harpoon flinger. And everything else is gravy. Let's fix your shape. Let's build it like this. I'm liking that. Let's bring this in a little bit more like that. Scooch that up a smidge. Bring this down. Horizontal. Transform. Crew is 1. Pilot. And then weapons, crew, reload. Going to be four tentacles. Crew of 1, reload score of 1. At 15 feet, these deal. It occupies 3 squares at the 5-foot scale, which means mounted weapons. 2d8 damage. 2d8 plus grapple. 1 harpoon flinger. Crew of 1, reload score of 1. 2d8 plus grapple, using grappling hooks. So pilot sits here. And then they've got their gun here that they're adjacent. You have to be adjacent to or occupying the space of a weapon or magical device on a spelljamming ship. So sitting at the helm with a gun in front of you means that you're occupying the space of the helm and adjacent to the space for the mounted weapon. So I could use my object interaction to move the ship, and then, like say I'm a 5th level fighter, I'd have 2 attacks and a bonus action and a reaction. I could use object interaction to move the ship. I could then use my bonus action and 2 attacks to make any number of attacks with the harpoon flinger or tentacles. They all do 2d8. It's just either physical, it's either melee or ranged damage, but all of these have the ability to grapple. So it's small. It's small scale. These aren't designed to destroy they aren't designed to destroy the ship. Like if I'm a pirate and I'm trying to take, say, a tradesman. It's a 130-foot ship. It looks like, here, I'll show you. The tradesman looks like, let's go take a look at it real quick. They call it the flying fish now. That's right. Here's the flying fish. It's 150 feet in size. So it's got a trebuchet on the nose, it's got 2 ballistas at the back, and it's got 3 harpoon flingers. My fighter craft are not here to destroy this flying fish. This flying fish has about 240 hit points. So the 2d8 damage that I'm dealing with my harpoon flingers and my tentacles, that's not going to destroy this. It's not going to destroy the flying fish. That's not the goal. My goal is to take out the crew that are using the siege weapons to attack my carrier ship. So I want to drop like 15 of these little inkfish fighter ships, because that's 2d8 at least twice per round that I'm barraging the crew on the deck of the ship. And they're going to have anywhere from like 10 to 30 hit points depending on their rank. So they can be taken out in 1, 2, maybe 3 rounds of barrage. Like I've got 3 guys here on this ballista, and if they're a first rank crew, they each have 10 hit points. I could kill all of them probably like in 4 or 5 attacks, assuming I hit every time. So 1 fighter craft here, I could also attack. I could actually attack the ballista itself if I wanted to disable the weapon instead of the crew. Nyogi would damage the weapons to capture the crew. Pirates would kill the crew to capture the weapons. You see how that works? Because their motives are different. Let's click that button to take us down to combat. Oh yeah, I wanted to look at the damage capacity of the ballista. Where you at? Right, you're here. No, ballista, ranged weapon. Ballistas have 50 hit points. There you go. So I could deal 50 hit points at like a Nyogi would use their Spiderling fighter craft to attack the melee weapon, the ranged weapon, so you can't hurt their ships anymore. Or you could attack the crew so they can't fire the weapon anymore. You have those 2 strategies. The end result is the same. It just depends on what you're plundering. Nyogi want to enslave humanoids, so they want to get rid of the weapons and take the people. The Pirates of Lazar want the weapons and the ships, so they want to kill the people and take their stuff. Different motives. Same effect though. Fighter craft don't do a lot of damage to bigger ship. If it's only like a Scorpion ship, for example, only has... It has like 150 hit points. If I get 3 or 4 fighter craft on the Scorpion ship, it will fold eventually. We'll bash through it and we'll kill it. It has an armor. It has a damage reduction of. It has a damage reduction of 20. So a single harpoon flinger can only do 2d8 damage. I would then have to have all of my fighter craft work as a team, as a coordinated squadron, to have 3 or more of these ships working. Like if I had 3 of these fish, these inkfish operating together, like if I had another one here, another one here, like say another one here. Since these are all occupying the same 50-foot space, I could command all 4 of these fighter craft as a single action, just like I could command 7 NPCs to work together to aim, fire, and reload a trebuchet. I could have these inkfish all work together as a squadron of fighter craft to combine their damage together. Individually, they only do 2d8 damage apiece, but combined as a group, they do 8d8 damage. So that would be enough as a concentrated volley of shots as a combined team. They would be able to punch through the damage resistance of the metal of a Scorpion ship. Doing 8d8 damage minus 20 per pop. 8d8 on average is going to be like 32 damage minus 20, 12 damage. It would take 10 barrages from 4 inkfish on average, 10 barrages to destroy a Scorpion ship. It'd be so much easier just to land on deck and start tearing and throwing the crew. Like I could use my grappling tentacles on this fish to grab a crew member and just throw them off deck. Just as an action, just throw them away. And now they're drifting and now they're bobbing in the gravity field off the boat. So now they have to swim or fly back aboard to the ship, crawl back on board to join the fight again. But every time I throw an NPC off of a siege weapon, the reload score increases because there's less action economy available to reload the weapon. It gets more difficult. So if I can throw all the crew off of a siege weapon, that siege weapon can't be used anymore. That's the idea of it. So that's why you want fighter craft. You want to mix when you're doing larger scale combat like this. You want to have a mix of carrier ships or like larger vessels at 100 or more feet, And then you want to have a number of small fighter craft like this so you can move between the 550 and 5-foot scale, working on these different levels of threats that make your combat more dynamic. A 5-foot scale where creatures are jumping on board your deck and attacking you guys sword and flail is going to feel different than your crew trying to fight off fighter ships from landing on your deck to dump those 5-foot crew. And even further away, you've got the carrier ships or larger vessels that have siege weapons that are lobbing big weapons at you to try to damage your ship and disrupt your pilot's concentration so their defenses go down until they can focus again on the helm. So you have these different levels of threats, but they're all the same 5e combat action economy, all operating at the same time at different scale. It's just a matter of which scale do you want to pay attention to. If you're not doing anything at the 500-foot scale, then nothing is going to stop an enemy vessel from lobbing ballistas and trebuchet fire at you, and now your ship just took 70 points of damage because you weren't doing any reactions or any actions to try to defend the ship from itself. You were too focused on the swarm of fighter craft that were that are inside your gravity plane trying to kill your crew, or actively dumping crew onto your deck to fight your men. So if you get swarmed, you might not have the action economy to effectively deal with the carrier or larger vessels that are basically circling around waiting for their fighter craft to put an end to the resistance so they can come and claim your ship as a whole. So if they overwhelm you, you aren't going to be able to, if you focus all your attention at the 500-foot scale to drive the carrier ship away, then nothing is being done to prevent the fighter craft from landing on deck. And if nothing's being done to land on deck, then it dumps crew on a deck, and now they're going to go from room to room like a dungeon and clear you out. So you have those 3 levels of threat that are active at the same time if you have a complicated enemy. If you're just fighting a 40-foot dark mantle or an 80-foot cloaker or something, that's just a kaiju operating at the 50-foot scale. It's just, you've got that one level of combat that you're dealing with. It's not very complicated. It's when you get vessels with fighter craft and crew at the 5-foot scale and you're working all those 3 scales at the same time that it becomes a very tactical battle. If you like tactical combat, where actually rolling the dice and making decisions and defeating your enemy, if you like that type of stuff, this is not a make an ability check and you win the day sort of thing. This is very, very grid-based tactical combat for ships, which, that's kind of like scratches that Lancer itch, but for 5e. So anyway, there you go. So these are Inkfish. Let's bundle these together. Bundle. We'll call them Inkfish. Inkfish is another name for squid. And then boarding skiff isn't very imaginative, but it's a functionally accurate title. Let's just merge those together. Ink, fish, fighters. So you can use fighter craft to attack vessels, but you have to use squadrons of them. Individual fighter craft can take out crew that are on deck. Squadrons of fighter craft can deal siege damage to larger vessels. But like a single one won't do it. So there's our Inkfish, and now we're going with our Mecha. Mecha have a crew of 1. Pilot. So let's see, what kind of mecha do we want to build here? How big is the mecha that we have budgeted for these? 20 feet. So we have 3 shipyards, and we can produce 6. Basically, your shipyard can produce 2 mecha per week each, and we have 3 facilities for the shipyard. So you can issue 3 separate commands to your shipyards to create these ships. We can create It would take 3 months for us to build a squid ship. Oh, we haven't done the frigate, which is the which one is it? Hold on. Kalmari, Battle of Swift. We're missing one. Frigate, which is going to be a 120-foot 3x3 light material. Sea arrow. That's what it's called. The sea arrow. That's another fish for squid. That's another name for squid. Sea arrow, and it's 120 feet. So let's build a sea arrow. Oh, look at that. Technically, it'd be out here like this, but we're gonna make it thin, so I don't have to worry about that so much. But this is the space that we have to play with. Let's see. How do we want to build this? We want to go. We want another squid motif. So let's take this and fade it so it doesn't get in the way of our frame. And let's build a new one. We're gonna call this Sea Arrow. So we actually want about 60 feet, well, maybe about this much ship, and then this much tentacle. Let's just start with 2 for now. And figure out how this thing's gonna sit. Something like that. So let's bubble that out. Let's bring that in a little bit. Deck here, and then open deck here. Ooh, I like this. Let's do that. Copy, paste, free transform. Flip horizontal. What time is it? 8 o'clock? We're doing great. Looks about right. Yeah, let's do that. Merge down. make it top heavy. So this is all open deck. These are stairs, stairs, stairs. So basically this thing looks like here, here, here. That's what it looks like from the side. It's only 120 feet, so like it would be, like compared to this octopus carrier, this would only be so I can fit this entire ship inside the hangar bay of this carrier ship, which is appropriate. It's a hangar bay, but this is how small these ships are in comparison to this massive calamari. Like this tentacle. It's gonna have 100. It's gonna have, since it's 120 feet long, it's gonna have 240 hit points. But each one of these tentacles does D8 times 10 damage. I could potentially grab you with 2 of these tentacles. And just basically start mauling you and just turn your ship into ground and then just throw all your pieces away and then carry on. Like, these things are fucking dangerous. I feel like I want to thin down the front a little bit more. Something like that might be fun. There we go. So we can put a ballista here and a ballista here. Ballistas and mangonels occupy 10-foot space. If I don't have, yeah, if I have the deck internal here, so the stairs are interior, not getting away on the top deck. We can have a mangonel here. And then if we broaden this out a bit, something like that. Ballista, ballista. Yeah, let's do that. And generally we want to have a harpoon flinger adjacent. Harpoon flinger, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 3x3, so it's going to generally have. It's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to have 6 weapons. So Mangonel, 4 ballistas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 harpoon flingers, and then we have the 4 tentacles, and that's our inkfish at the 5-foot scale, occupying a 120-foot space. These are our frigates. These are basically smaller scale vessels that are large, that are small enough to engage and grapple with ships easily, and has enough anti-personnel weapons on deck to be able to clear decks of siege crew, and it has multiple weapons to be able to stack on barrages, batteries of damage. So it does its job well, I think. Yeah, okay, so let's stat it out. Oh no, we missed it in the page. Fightercraft, Inkfish, Frigate, there we go. Frigates are going to be pilots times 3. It's going to have a captain, 1. It's going to have 1, 2. I'm gonna break this up. We have space on deck here for the Mangonel. Mangonels occupy a 10-foot space, so do ballistas. Trebuchet occupy a 15-foot space. So sometimes they're hard to fit on decks unless they're really big ships. So now we can have the ballista up here. And we can have 2 harpoon flingers here. We can have 4 harpoon flingers on deck down here. Let's do it like that. 2 on deck on top with the Mangonel. 4 on mid deck. Lower deck is going to have a Mangonel and 2 ballistas. Mid deck is going to have 4 harpoon flingers. And then we got our melee weapons up front. And again, look at the ink. This is the scale of the inkfish. So we could have tons of little inkfish that are clipped onto the side of this. See how easy it would be for us to clip on little inkfish fighter craft, just to be able to peel off of and start skirmishing on their own alongside what this I'm going to call it a corvette, not a frigate. Crew that lets us have siege commanders, which we can then have 2. We have 1 captain. Pilots, we have 3 pilots. Always have at least 3 pilots. And then weapons. Oops, I did that wrong. Get back, Loretta. Oh, I did do this wrong. There. Okay, back on track. Sorry, guys. Captain, siege crew, pilots. We need 2 crew per 50 feet, so It's 120. It's 120 feet, so it's going to be crew of 5. So it's going to be general facilities. It's going to be 2, 4, 5 guys here, and then we got our weapons, which is going to be 4 tentacles. So I have a crew of 1, which is the pilot, a reload score of 1, which is the pilot. The damage is going to be it's 120 feet, so it's larger than 100 feet. It's less than 150 feet, so that puts it inside of a 3x3 space. Here we go. 3x3 at the 50-foot scale. It does D6 times 10 damage. So 1d6 times 10 plus grapple. And then we've got 4 ballista. We've got 2 mangonel. We've got 6 harpoon flingers. Ballista crew are 3. The reload score is 2. Mangonel's crew is 5. It has a reload score of 4. There's 5 ranks of crew. So a first rank crew only reduces the reduces the reload score by 1. A 5th rank crew reduces the reload score by 5. The minimum reload score can be 1. If you're firing multiple weapons, you add up each crew's reload score to get a combined group reload score. So if I have 4 ballistas that are each reload score of 2, all 4 ballistas firing together as a barrage is a reload score of 8. I would have to be at least 9th level, rolling a D8 to potentially automatically reload all 4 of those weapons. And if I don't hit that 8 on my command die, my proficiency die, then I have to spend action economy for each individual ballista of those 4 of them to get them all reloaded to fire again. Or I could just take command of one single ballista and start having it crack out rounds a lot easier. So opening silo of a lot of weapons up front sounds like a great strategy, but if you catch an enemy by surprise and they don't have any reactions, then yeah, you can hit them with a heavy barrage and potentially do a lot of damage to them. Let's go up and look at our action economy real quick. So the pilot can use a reaction to deflect, pace, and do opportunity attacks. Let's look at the deflect action. Pilot actions, attack, deflect. When the ship is hit by an attack, you can make a pilot check with a DC equal to the attack rolled. Succeeding the check turns a hit into a miss. So like earlier we rolled, like say I have my ship only has armor class 19, we rolled a 24 to hit. If I make a pilot check, which is an ability check, which you could have expertise in for like a bard or a rogue, then the DC for that check would be on that attack roll is 24. If I roll a 24 on my reaction, I will dodge that silo, and that huge damage is going to be a miss. So a lot of times what you're going to do, a good meta strategy is if you think your opponent's going to open with a front load silo to do big damage and have advantage right away in the battle, if you have your reaction ready to deflect the attack, then you won't take any damage, and then they'll have to spend all that action economy reloading their weapons before they can hit you with a heavy silo again. So if you have a team member that's spotting, keeping an eye on reloads on different siege weapons, you'll know keep your reaction ready to deflect, and the pilot, whoever's piloting at the time, will keep their reaction ready so that when that silo comes in, you can dodge out of the way and prevent taking any damage from it. And then they're going to be forced to deal with small weapons, but like 1 or 2 ballista fire at a time, that might not be worth using the pilot's reaction to dodge out of one attack, because another 2 or 4 are going to be coming in this round. You don't know how they're going to break up the action economy, so you have to be careful about again, tactical depth. There's a lot of different ways you can combine weapon attacks or divide them up. Divided, they do less damage, but they're a lot easier to reload and keep firing repeatedly. A lot of weapons together will do a lot of damage if you hit, but the reload is ridiculously slow, and there's a high chance that the pilot's going to just be able to roll out of it and not do any damage anyway. So you have those risks. Again, if you've caught them by surprise, full silo. Let's just fucking clock them out. They have no idea it's coming. Easy target. If they're aware of you, you're probably gonna want to break up your silo into smaller weapon groups so that you can succeed at the reload check to get these things back up and continuously firing so that they don't overwhelm you. So that's the idea. And that finishes the Sea Arrow. 4 crew. That's 12. 5 crew. 10. 6 harpoon flingers. Reload score of 1. 2d8. Mangonel does 1d6 times 10. And ballistas do 1d4 times 10. Carrier, battleship, corvette, boarding skiff, fighter craft, and down to mecha. So pilot is 1. Weapons is as per weapon. Crew of 1. These are 20-foot mecha. So going to our mecha table. Where are you? There it is. Damage. Are you up here? I think I passed it. Power system, self-repair, construct. Nope. And let's go down to... Here we go. Okay, so size, 20 foot. The cost to produce a 20-foot weapon is 16 times the listed cost. So like a long sword normally costs 15 gold. At the 20-foot scale, it would be 240 gold per 20-foot long sword. A 20-foot long sword is going to do 3 dice of damage. So it's going to be, and a long sword does D8 or D10 with versatile. 3d8 damage. Reload score is 1. 3d8 damage. That's per attack. Plus STR. A 20-foot mech is second rank? Yeah, it's a second rank mecha. Okay. So let's look at our options. So when you have a second rank mecha, actually, let's go here. Where you at, dude? Mecha Whip. Okay, there we go. Second rank, 20 feet, 3 modifications, up to second rank mods. You have 40 hit points and it damages 3 times, right. So here's the modifications. So our mecha are going to be roughly human-shaped. Devices and enchantments that give your mecha powers. Durable, doubles the hit points. Mana Amplifier, amplifies spells and powers to the 50-foot scale at no added cost. We can choose a power, and we have a shitload of powers that we can choose from down below. Not on this document, sorry. Here. Where do you go? Here you go, powers. At second rank, we can have a second or first rank power. And we can have... how many of these can we have? 3? Right. Let's think this through. Let's see. Thick build, Spell Amplifier, Mecha Powers, Self-Repair. So we could have 2d6 hit point repair per hour. That's not bad. A sealed helm can operate underwater or in foul and deadly air while retaining fresh air in the helm for 24 hours. Integrated tools, Tinker tools at up to 50-foot scale, which can repair and manipulate machinery. Heavy armor plating increases your armor class. Oh, it increases your increased damage reduction, which you can take twice, and increases the damage reduction by 5, and increases your armor class by 2. The helms, we're using minor helms. So let's see, what do we want to build? We have 3 options. We don't necessarily need an amplifier. We don't necessarily need self-repair. We don't necessarily need we can modify every Bastion turn. We can modify our mech to have different mods. So you can reconfigure your mecha each week to deal with battles that you think you're going to have, especially if you're going to go target a foe. You might just want to go with more of a generalist. So let's see. When you initiate a grapple in your mecha, the target saves with disadvantage. And when you save to avoid or escape a grapple, you roll with advantage. Grappler's not bad. We're talking about pirate stuff, right? So let's just think about pirate type stuff of seizing, stealing ships, getting rid of people, evade damage. When you succeed a dexterity saving throw to reduce damage you take none or half if you fail. Propel jump once during your turn. 2 squares of movement counts as 6. Swift tools, you can use a tool. If the use of a tool would require an action, you can instead do so as an object interaction. First strike, when you roll initiative, you beat your opponent. Reaction, as an opportunity attack, you can make 2 attacks instead of 1. That's 3rd rank. We don't have access to that shit yet. Maneuvers. Let's look at maneuvers. Targeted attack. Bonus action equals when you make an attack with a ship melee weapon, you gain advantage. Coordinated attack. You can empower an ally that you can see or hear you to use their reaction to make an opportunity attack with advantage against a target you and your ally both see. Goad. Target that you can see that can see and hear you makes attacks against targets other than you with its advantage until the beginning of your next turn. Ward, you gain resistance. Ooh, ward isn't bad. Vanish, you become invisible until the beginning of your next turn. To activate these maneuvers, it takes either a magic action or a bonus action. So like I could vanish and turn invisible for the round and eat my bonus action with it. And then I could attack with advantage and be attacks against me would be disadvantage. I think I like that. Let's go with vanish. Maneuver 2. Maybe I want to take thick. Thick is tanky. Let's see if I can avoid tanky and go with something else. Deflection. As a reaction to when a target you can see that is within reach of your melee attack hits you with an attack roll, the attack is rerolled, taking the new result. The reroll can't score a crit. Interpose. No. Anticipate. As a reaction to when a target within reach of your weapon attack that you can see makes an attack against you, before they roll to hit, you make an opportunity attack. Moving targets. As a reaction to when a target you can see moves into or within the reach of your melee weapon, you can make an attack, even if the target is using a disengage action or the movement is forced. Redirect. As a reaction to when a target within reach of your melee weapon attack that you can see hits another creature with an attack, you can redirect the attack to target another creature. I think of all of these, maybe anticipate or deflection might be the best. We're talking about we're looking at nimble, fast striking mecha. When you hit a target with an attack as a bonus action, you cripple the target's movement. The target must use the dash action to move. Ooh, I like that. Crippling strike. Let's take that. Power. So when I hit with an attack, I would then use my bonus, kind of like a paladin smite spell. I hit with the attack, then I use my bonus action to trigger the Mecha Strike power. In this case, Crippling Strike. I reduce your speed to 0 unless you use the dash action to move. So your object interaction no longer moves your ship. You now have to use an action, or if you're a rogue or monk, a bonus action to actually move. Otherwise, you're stuck in place. That's actually really good. Strike 1. And we have one more power that we can pick up one more power. And if we don't see any power that we want to pick up, maybe I don't know, maybe we'll find something. Let's see what else there is. We can only take up the second rank powers. So Rogue Stance, you can use a bonus action to dash, disengage, or dodge. God, that's really fucking good. Power Shield. As an object interaction, you create a defensive field of power that can be wielded as a shield that you are proficient with. The shield hovers in your space to protect you, leaving your hands free. The bonus to your armor class gained from the shield is +3, and you can only benefit from one shield at a time. Free and remains present until dismissed. I think Rogue Stance is the real winner here, but grappling combat, nah. Elemental resistance, unnatural resistance, and that's it. So yeah, let's grab Rogue Stance. Sus one. Yeah. There you go. That's going to be the basic configuration of mecha that we run into whenever we're fighting Space Pirates of Lazar. This is their default configuration. But as you saw, I've got a shitload of options. I could switch up the battle configuration of these mecha at any time. By the way, the Martial Powers book, if you looked at Martial Powers playlist for modifying monsters, this list of stuff are things that you can attach to any creature. The CR determines its maximum rank. Up to CR1 is rank 1, up to CR5 is rank 2, up to CR9 is rank 3, up to CR13 is rank 4, and then CR14 or more is 5th rank. And there's about 127 different options that you can attach to your monsters or your players, to your characters if you want. Martial characters. This is called Martial Powers. So you can check out the Martial Powers list, and we'll be playing with that in the future, in the not too distant future, on Saturday mornings. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's our mecha. We've successfully built the ships. I think what we're gonna do next time is when we come back, we're going to we know that that the barracks of the pirates there's 1,000 crew that are pirates. So probably half of them are just going to be Marines, and that probably leaves us with like 500 crew that we could use to pilot mecha, fighter craft, corvettes, landing skiffs, battleships, and the carrier. So we'll see how we want to divide up those crew, and that will determine the amount of crew available divided amongst the ships will set the scale of the fleet that the Pirates of Lazar have. Yeah. So we're going to do that next time. So I'm going to go ahead and cut stream here now. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning to continue doing Eberron artwork. We're going to be back on Monday night to continue this Pirates of Lazar project. Saturday morning, we're going to be doing color magic, Magic the Gathering, and in 5e D&D, converting all the spellcasters to the color mana system. And hey, what's up, Fox? It's good to see you, my guy. Thanks a lot. I will see you all in the morning. Cheers.